Hello and welcome back. This is the second video to our week 4. So what we're going to do now is we're going to finish off week 4 talking about our final 2 topics and then do a recap of what homework you need to do to submit. What I'd like to do first is take a look at our week 4 presentation skills slide 30. So if we take a look here, what I'd like to do is to talk about basic skills for presentation, which should be present as when you present. What I'd like to do is take a look at slide 31 first. So in the textbook, if we take a look, what we should do is notice that we're talking about the introduction here. And the introduction, basically what we're looking for is that you introduce your general topic, and generally you introduce the 3 details that you will be discussing. This should be a general point for your entire your entire presentation, I should say. Moving on to slide number 32, if we take a look at the second point for your presentation skills pattern, the next step that you should be, this is kind of the most important point for your presentation, is that you should develop your detail 1 and give more specific, more interesting information. And then you talk about your second detail, whatever you choose it to be, and this again should give more specific, interesting information. And your detail 3 again should give more specific, interesting information. And the important point that we're trying to maintain throughout is that you have an equal amount of time given to each of these separate points. Then we move to slide 33 for your presentation skills pattern. The third point is your conclusion. In any presentation, you should have a conclusion which restates the general topic using new vocabulary and restates the 3 details using new vocabulary. So if we take a look in our textbook, we can read this in slightly more detail. So if we take a look in our textbook, let's read the presentation skills pattern section together. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. A presentation has a clear pattern to help our audience understand. It begins with a 1-sentence introduction. This introduction, or the introduction, explains what the topic is and what 3 details the presenter will focus on. The next 3 sentences, so this is our paragraph, in a presentation, in a paragraph, or for the development. The development is where the presenter discusses each of the 3 details separately in more depth. The final sentence is the conclusion. To show we are at the end, we restate the topic and the 3 details. The most, and of course here it should be important, we should take that 26 dash out. The most important point in the conclusion is to use new vocabulary to show our English skill level is high. Now this is for a very basic presentation, but for your team presentation, this is your general view of your presentation. So what I would like you to do now is move to slide 24 and test yourself. Fill in the stages of a presentation in your textbook. Now. So you should have written down your 3 stages as number 1, your introduction, number 2, your development, and number 3, your conclusion. So essentially, if you're giving your presentation for 20 minutes, that means each of you should be talking for 10 minutes each approximately, and you should be giving about 7 minutes to each of those points. So if you take a look at it like that, you can probably add a little bit more to your development, because that tends to be the more interesting aspect of your presentation, or of any presentation. So if you break it up like that, then it's not so difficult to deal with your presentations. Anyways, moving on now to our final topic of this week is Bunnicula Chapter 1. So if we look at slide 35, this is our introductory slide, and then for slide 36, what we're going to do is to discuss this section overall. So what I've tried to do is, this was planned for us to be in class, to get you speaking out loud, reading out loud. But, of course, we are online, and so many of you, I'm so sorry, have had corona and haven't felt the best. So good for you for continuing, and keep on going, you can do it. What I would like you to do is not get into a group of 3 or 4 students. What I would like you to do is to read chapter 1 by yourself. If you find it really difficult, you can maybe call a friend and take turns reading the paragraphs to each other, if that makes it a little easier. If you are in contact with 3 or 4 students in your class, then you can definitely get together and read it together. That's perfectly acceptable. So anyways, either get together in a group or by yourself as well. What I'd like you to do is read chapter 1. I have the scanned files, but I have to find them because I don't know where I put them. What I'm going to do is I'll upload chapter 1 for you. There's also a man called Mike online who reads very nicely, so if you want to, you can listen to it and read along with him. He has a pretty good speed, I think. It's nice and slow, and what he's done is he's set it up to read for elementary school students, so it could be a good way for you to see what speed is comfortable. So if you want to, you can read with him. Then after you've read the chapters, what I'd like you to do is go back over it and answer the questions in these 4 sections. So section A is vocabulary. There are 4 words I've chosen, which are probably new, maybe 1 or 2 are new. And what I'd like you to do is to fill in the 4 sentence blanks with the appropriate word. And you might be able to do it beforehand, even if you wish to. Section B is true or false. So after you have read the chapter, and you can go back, of course, and find the answers in the chapter. That's perfectly acceptable as well. This is not a test, actually. This is hopefully a type of game, basically. So you write T if it's true, F if it's false. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to read section B together. So if you could turn to the section B page, let's read number 1 together now. 1, 2, 3, go. 1. Toby had sat on a rabbit at the movies. Number 2. Toby broke the rabbit's foot. Number 3. Chester wanted to help name the bunny. 4. Everyone forgot to say goodnight to Harold. Alright, so decide if those are true or false, and then let's move on to C, multiple choice, and let's read the C choices together. I fought with this. Number 1, it actually has numbers underneath it, but it should be A, B, C, D, so if you can cross out numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and write A, B, C, D in instead for me. When you submit your homework, what I'd like you to do is just write Bunnicula and then write A, vocabulary, and then fill in 1, blah, blah, 2, and you can just give the answers if you wish, and then B, T, F, or whatever you think. C, you write 1 and then give A, B, C, D, and so on. So it's really simple for you. Please type it. Do not send pictures because the picture files are too large and they will not upload to the GNU site. And of course, you should be using English only. You should write your name, your student number, and your major on your document, and also as your subject heading with the week. So it should say week 4 subject, or sorry, your name in English style with your student number, and then your major, okay? Let's move on then to C. Let's read C together, and we're going to read question 1 together. So let's read C together now. 1, 2, 3, go. C, multiple choice. Write A, B, C, D in the space for the best answer. 1. Why is everything explained to the dog? A, he is the only one who will listen. B, everyone is treated with respect for their intelligence. C, it's just a game they play. 4, the story does not say why. 2, the rabbit would stay in the blank for the night. A, shoebox. B, house. C, crate. D, car. If you don't know what the word crate is, look it up. 3. The boys felt the bunny needed a blank immediately. A, cage. B, place to stay. C, meal. Or D, none of the above. So none of the above means A, no, B, no, C, no. 4. Why was Chester in a state of shock? A, he was afraid of rabbits. B, he didn't know what to think of the situation. C, he didn't get any milk. Or B, no one loved him. Then let's move on to D section, comprehension, and let's read all of these questions together so that you can think about them and answer them once you've read the chapter. So let's read D section together now. 1, 2, 3, go. D, comprehension, write full sentences. 1, who was curled up in the armchair? 2, what was in the shoebox? 3, where did Chester sleep? 4, when did Mrs. Monroe think the rabbit would drink the milk? 5, why did Pete want to name him Mr. Johnson? 6, how did the rabbit get named Bunnicula? And 7, are these open or closed questions, and why? Now, please remember to answer all of these questions in English only, and write in full sentences if you can, please. So we're going to move on now to 37. So slide number 37 is just a homework recap because, as I said before, we have spoken about a variety of homework throughout this video. So this is just to remind you of what I'm looking for. So we have 2 homework assignments essentially. One of them is a speaking assignment, and B is a written assignment. So I expect you to hand in to submit B. A is purely practice, and again, I trust you to do this. So please, please, please do not betray my trust. So A again is to call a partner and to do the following. Number 1, ask your 3 closed questions, which you have written down in your textbook, and then chat with your partner about those conversations or whatever you can talk about based on those questions. Number 2, to do the same thing but with an open or with open questions. You're going to ask your 3 open questions from your textbook that you wrote down while we were doing the video. And also to continue chatting with your partner in English for as long as you can. Number 3 is to do the what should I do exercises, also from your textbook. The getting ready B, the pair work practice, and number 4, the conversation, which is to practice the 4 conversations giving advice. And 5 is the communication task where you give your own choice. You read your problems to your partner and then listen to their advice, including one problem that is a real problem for you, not taken from the book. And then, of course, B is what we have just gone over, which is to read Chapter 1 of Funicula. It's not very long. I think it's about 6 pages, and the font's really large. It is for children, so try. Even if you don't understand it, you know, if you're only understanding parts of it, don't worry. The point is not to understand every single thing or to translate it all into Korean. The point is to get the idea of the story and the feeling of the emotions as the characters go through the book. So please read Chapter 1 and then do sections A, B, C, D in the textbook and then submit that. Type that with a Microsoft Word file or your Hancom Office, Handsoft, whatever you would like to call it. Please try to use Times New Roman font 12. The size is 12. And remember to put the week 4, to put your English style name, your student number, and your major on both the subject heading, right? So that when you save the file, use that as your file name. And also, when you write the actual document, please write it in the document, okay? So I hope you are all okay and feeling okay. Remember to take a look at the beautiful spring flowers because they're starting to bloom. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.